Hi, everyone. Welcome to our presentation. We are super excited to be part of this event and talk about student engagement in connection with the World Literacy Foundation. I am Dr. Jill Tussey, and I work for Buena Vista University in Iowa in the United States. I am the division chair for literacy, early childhood, and TESOL, and mainly I teach literacy courses, so I'm super excited to be part of this event.
Hi, I'm Dr. Leslie Haas. I work for Xavier University of Louisiana. I'm in New Orleans, Louisiana, and I'm very excited to be here today.
All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. We've got a couple different topics to talk about, and we're really going to focus on how these, can be embedded in school, but also in home. So we know that literacy is important to be, not just something where we're only focusing at school. It's important to have that family connection in home literacy as well. So, the first thing we're going to talk about, we have deemed them to be called book bags, and these are a great way to, provide literature and activities for your the students in your class to do at home and families to do together. So, we know that reading is just a wonderful opportunity for parents, guardians, grandparents, all family members to really read with the young readers. So, this is just a really great way to embed activities and opportunities to read together. So, we are going to share some examples, and we know literacy is important at all age. So, to start off with, we have a book bag example for ages 2 through 5. And so, we have Mrs. Wishy Washy's Farm. And some of the activities that we have, we're thinking about these littles and sorting the animals into groups, finding just different a discussion around it. So, what was your favorite animal? Why was it your favorite animal? And taking opportunities to understand the simple, on a really simple basic level of just going through writing the letters that the animals start with, dictating like, why did you really like the cow? Why did you not like the goose so much? And these are great ways for the students to have an opportunity to connect with letters and literacy. We always think like, how can we take the book beyond, like, helping students understand it's not just a silo experience. So for this, the extension activity would be a musical one, so singing Old MacDonald Has a Farm as a family. And after you've read the book, and you could even record it and send it off to school so they can share it with their classmates or even preschool classrooms. The next one we have is for ages 5 to 8, and it's Strike Three Marley. So we did a little sports theme. We know that, animals and sports are always really great for a lot of students to like. So for this, we have a little bit older students. With the activity, you can create the story web, a character map, ask the students to build a diorama over their favorite scene. Again, this is something that can be done at school or at home with the families, using household items around. Like, we don't want you to go to the store and buy a whole bunch of stuff. We're not trying to, make this stressful, but just find things around school and make your favorite scene. Not like the whole book, just pick one thing that was really your favorite. Again, we know the importance of discussion. So, creating a list of questions over the story that the students can, ask their family members. Again, you're building that support at school so you can take it right home, and it can be something that pretty seamlessly goes into a family activity. For this extension activity, we went with the arts. And so, design a uniform or a new ball field. Again, this is an activity that can easily go home to families. Everybody's pretty familiar about, like, okay, what, a sports uniform, a ball field, just tweaking it to make it your own. And then the final age group we have for this presentation would be the 9 to 13-year-old. So we have a bigger chapter book that's called Mud Run. So activities, again, writing a review of the book to convince your classmates or even your parents, your siblings, that this would be a good book to read. We know the importance of having digital components. So creating a PowerPoint. Again, this is something that you can send with the iPad home. You can share, send the link, and then they can share it with their families. or design a brochure with story elements. So this could get a little bit of art and creativity in there. And then with a writing activity, creating an advertisement for a mud run. So you're trying to convince everyone that this is a good event that they want to attend. And then a great way, in addition to, sharing all these activities that focus a lot on literacy, would be that physical fitness component of designing a mud run and then having them complete this with their family, sending pictures that they can email and share in class.
And we do want to make sure that we point out that it's really important to make sure that the book selections that we send home with our families are both culturally and linguistically responsive to the culture and the home language of the students you serve.
Well, and that's a good point of making sure that we understand, like, we're, thinking about the different families, but we're also providing these. We're not just expecting, like, the families to figure out, oh, how to go to the library or how to get this book. We know that part of our job as educators is providing those resources, finding ways, like, to tie them to the library book checkout, or, even the books that you can print out on paper and send home so they can go with that. But Leslie makes an excellent point of being really, honoring the family traditions because we want it to be something that, ties and makes everybody understand the importance.
All right, the next thing we're going to talk about is the importance of games. So, learning theories embedded in quality digital games fits better with the modern, high tech global world of today's children and teenagers, the world that they live in, than do the theories and practices of learning that they see in school. When teachers utilize engaging instructional tools like digital games, content moves to the center of focus and deeper learning occurs. So we also see that play allows children to use their creativity while developing their imagination, dexterity, and physical, cognitive, and emotional strength. Play is important to healthy brain development. So what we really want to talk to you about with games is games have a tendency to be a pull into literacy rather than the traditional mandated push that they get in many academic settings. So games can be really fun and engaging. So the first type of game that we'd like to talk about are hands-on or tactile games. So these are things that you can do at school or at home that don't cost a lot of money. Also, the what we'd like to show you is that you can take traditional games and tweak them and change them so that they can have a focus on literacy. For instance, Twister here, you can put, for instance, comprehension questions to a story that you've just read aloud or a story that children have already read. And as they use the spinner, then whatever color that they hit on, then those questions are there. So it's a new take on a traditional game. Here we have literacy activities for younger kids where you're just using the tops of bottles, right? That doesn't cost lots of money. That's usually something that people have or can begin to gather. And then you just put letters on the top, and children can build words or sentences with those. You can do traditional scavenger hunts in the classroom or at school. And then there's just traditional board games that you can pick up, like Stone Soup or Feed the Woozle. These are things that are available in local stores. Then examples of digital games, they come in all forms, and there's two different ways we're really looking at games here. So there's gamification, and then there's game-based learning. So gamification is where we put gaming elements on top of something we're already doing. So maybe it's a competition piece, maybe it's a trial and error piece, maybe it's an experience point or award system. So that would be gamification. But game-based learning is when you take a game that already exists and then use that for educational purposes. So here, this is what we're talking about here is actually game-based learning. So here we have a couple of different websites that could be used at home or at school. We have ABC and Starfall. Those are both traditional games that can be used on an iPad or a laptop or desktop that help students learn to read. Then we have games like World of Warcraft. Now, I know that sounds really scary because it says war in there, but they have a whole version here for schools. And really, there's a beautiful questing system built into World of Warcraft that helps support literacy through fun and engaging quests or adventures through the game itself. And then, of course, there's all kinds of apps and opportunities to download literacy rich games on an iPad as well. So, this is just a few examples of what that would look like.
And I wanted to point out, like with the letter scavenger hunt, we have learned over the past year just, getting in nature and embracing that. So it's not things that just have to be in your own house or in school, like taking the class outside at school, taking your family on a walk, looking for things that start with a letter or have the sound. You can, make it whatever you want, but understanding that literacy is all around us. There's opportunities to talk about vocabulary words, descriptive words when you're out in nature. Like, okay, we see a green tree. What are other words we could use to describe that tree? And then it helps the students understand, like, okay, different parts of speech, ways that I can write and speak that it's more clear, it's more engaging. But understanding it can be as simple as finding something that starts with the same letter out in nature, like go on a walk. We know that having those discussions and that opportunity is going to be really helpful. So, the final topic we wanted to talk about today is just really supporting the social emotional aspect of learning and thinking, especially in connection with literacy. But the definite according to Castle with social emotional, it's the process which children and adults understand, manage emotions, set and achieve positive goals, feel and show empathy for others, establish and maintain positive relationships, and make responsible decisions. So we know these are all lofty goals, not just for children, but for adults too. But, children, they don't always have the same experiences, the background. So our job as, adults, the educators, the parents, the family members, everybody that has, a positive impact in children's lives, like how can we help them understand how to make a positive decision, how to deal with their emotions? Because, emotions are a little crazy at all ages, but we found a way of how to bring literacy into this process. So, using obviously we're going to tie it to literacy, so using the book as the mentor text, that guide. So the color monster, it's a story about emotions. And so in here we have an activity. You can read it as a small group and then have a discussion about the different types of emotions. We know the importance of being able to be active listeners in the classroom. It's not all about just sharing your own thoughts. Like, we have to help children of all ages and adults understand, the listening and having that discussion. So, what are the emotions? What came out in the book? Then letting them create their own color stones or cardboard circles and drawing the faces on there so they can express, like, oh, here's my emotion. And then tie this at home, letting the students take the book home, read it with their story, help, then do the similar activity where you need to have pull up those, monster faces with the emotions on each page. This again gives parents that basic, understanding. Here's a conversation opening that you can talk about emotions. Maybe it's not something that they're familiar or comfortable talking about, but here's that platform that we can move forward. Listening to my body, again, as a whole group, you could even do it in small groups, partners. So just talk about how your body feels in different situations, because learning to control your emotions, learning to control your body, these are a really heavy, task for these students. And then, this has a motion card. So ask the students to repeat the emotion on the card and then act it out. Again, we're letting them get up and we're letting them move and build that strong connection back to something that they've read about. Taking these cards or puppets home for their parents to talk about. Again, it's just really giving the parents an opener, giving the students not only opportunities to talk about something they've learned in a book or their emotions, but also like, here's a platform, here's an opener. And then the final one we have is The Grumpy Monkey. So this is this really great book that children love, and it just talks about ways for students to, again, like mimic that, grumpy face. Let them be engaged and understand like how they can connect with a character, which is important in all books for literacy. Make a poster together that what makes you feel grumpy, just recognizing these triggers or the causes can be really helpful. And then again, if you're working with younger students, they can narrate to the adult. If you're working with older students, they can go ahead and write it themselves. But again, take it home. What makes us as a family, like what makes us grumpy, what makes us happy? And again, it provides the students the opportunity to really connect with these big social emotional goals.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time and attention today. We were very excited to be here. If you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Our email addresses are available here on this slide. Also, Jill and I have a website that we've developed where we put free resources for teachers. Now, it's constantly being updated. So if you don't see something that would be helpful to you today, come back again. We are always adding new things. So we hope to hear from you soon.
So thanks, like Leslie said, thanks for coming. It's so great to get to be part of this, and we are excited to watch other presentations and learn some new ideas.
Thank you so much for joining us. This International Literacy Day, share your love and appreciation of reading with a disadvantaged child who doesn't own a single book. Please visit worldliteracyfoundation.org and donate today. Thank you.